And may I turn to Marcin? Would you like to say something as a summary?
It's difficult to summarize because it was very rich. There were so many different directions of thinking. So my summary, the only summary I can make is that I'm very happy that there were so many different threads of thinking. Although it is, there is intersection, there is common part related to symmetry, also to information. But naturally, in our conference here, symmetry takes first place. So it was really very interesting, and all contributions were fascinating. Thank you very much to all contributors. And I don't know, I think that maybe someone wants to ask presenters about what they were showing.
Okay, it is open for all of you. I just would like to use the opportunity to thank everything to Marcin. I'm sorry, Marcin, it is a very personal question just to you personally. Are you still alive after working 20 hours per day from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Until the 19th, don't forget.
Yes, how will you survive? I don't know. I don't know. So
I don't know either, but
I am also stand up at 4, 5 a.m. But anyway, it's complicated issue, and you should be there at each session. So,
but you know, I have this in this case spiritual food of all these interesting contributions, which keep me alive.
Yes, yes, yes. This is the spiritual aspect of symmetry, information, and of course, structure. I would like to use the opportunity to thank all of you, and I would like to make an apology because right now, Eugene, Ferenc, and Patricia are together. So Eugene did not hire Ferenc to the university in the desert at the time being, and Ferenc didn't give Patricia's lecture, but anyway, symmetry is also related in chaos. So if you see our side, the symmetry side, everything is okay, but Marcin, I kindly ask you if you are going to keep this side. I mean the yes, please make the change.
Yeah, so we'll be making, because there are several sometimes typos, sometimes errors. The only thing is, at the moment, because I'm going from one conference to another, I'm not able to communicate. One possibility which I would like to advise anyone, if you can see something like this, to direct your corrections directly to Babis. Babis, his name is, I don't know if Babis is here.
I sent to you or correction, so is it okay? And
yeah, you can send it to me, but it will be later.
Yes,
if there is something urgent, for instance, wrong time or something like this, then please send directly to Babis.
Here there is no big problem with the time, but the title, the people, and the university.
Oh yeah, we'll be correcting it later.
But anyway, Patricia, I would like to introduce you Ferenc Mező in Budapest. He gave you, in Eger at the time being, I believe. He gave you lecture, and you are associated with the University of Eugene Katz, and you had a co-author, 18th century bishop from Eger. So it is a very interesting combination. So I like it. I like it. So Ferenc, how you made it? An 18th century bishop. Okay. Yes, sometimes there are some jokes. Yes. So thank you very much. No, there was an interesting debate behind, and it was related to the dodecahedron. So Renata, may I ask you your statement? It was related to Dmitry. Dmitry, during your lecture, there was a chat. Of course, you were giving the lectures, you didn't see the chat, but please see it. So the problem is that Plato's text is speaking about the fifth polyhedron. So, and Renata, what is your comment about this? And then Vera made an interesting reply. Renata, please.
Yes, sorry, Dimitri. Whenever somebody is talking about the 5 Platonic solids, I have to add about the 5th element, that it was only a riddle in the original text. This was also in the text mentioned what Vera sent. There are only a few commentators like Cornford and Taylor who translated and like Cornford says, there remained one construction, the 5th, and the god used it for the whole, making a pattern of animal figures thereon. So because there is a word which sounds like it's about the universe. It's a metaphor for the universe and for the living universe, and he keeps the riddle. He doesn't say there is he counts the cube and the tetrahedron and the icosahedron, but he doesn't say dodecahedron, and this is the hint that he doesn't mean this 5th regular element as it is there, but it's the composition of the, what I just found out, that it's the composition of 2 or 12 unit cells of the 5-dimensional space, the 3D representation of the Penrose kites and darts, which I found. And so it's all about his unifying theory, the theory in five dimensions. And it's I have to publish it in a little book that it really flows into all the academia and school books. So you have seen my talk in Kanazawa. I was in Crete before, and so I'm preaching and preaching to read the original text of Plato and watch my movies. I will share it later again.
Vera had a comment about that. Vera, please.
Yes, I've noticed that you do not care for raising hands, digital hands, but that's okay. I had my hand raised before. Plato made an obscure reference to the dodecahedron that is currently interpreted as being to the relating to the dodecahedron. But the problem is not that. It was not him who invented or discovered or described, we don't say discovered, that described the now known as Platonic solids. It was Theaetetus of Athens. So I will, whenever someone says Platonic solids, and I never use the expression Platonic solids because they were not invented by Plato, I always correct, because it was Theaetetus of Athens, I'm probably not saying this correctly, that discovered them, that described them. So I would like to suggest that we change the name of Platonic solids to, I'm not sure how to say it, Dennis, how would you say it?
The Hungarian school of discrete geometry uses the name regular polyhedron.
Convex regular polyhedra.
Yes.
I always say that way, but if you want to give them a name, as we did with the Archimedeans, we should say Theaetetus of Athens solids, but it's not practical, but Platonic never. Either way, he mentions the dodecahedron, although obscurely.
And just to make fun, the Russian name is also very good. Pravilnuje mnogograniki. So polyhedron is also translated into Russian. Mnogogranik, many corner object. So regular many corner object. Am I correct? Eugene,
yes,
is
sure,
it correct?
Sure.
Pravilnuje mnogograniki.
Pravilnuje mnogograniki is just regular solids.
Yes, regular polyhedra. It is possible to say also.
Yeah.
Yes, Renata and Marcin.
One last sentence, because it's Plato speaks of schemata, and Plato is visualizing Pythagoras. Both were in Egypt, and I traced back the shape of the origami description of the fifth element, the five-dimensional unit cell, to the Egyptian myths. So they had to keep the secret. This is something what also other authors say. And the other thing is, if Pythagoras was inventing group theory, and like Poincaré says, group theory needs 5 dimensions. So it's obvious that they speak about 5-dimensional space. And if you watch the movie with all 12 epitahedra, as I call them, together to a 4-dimensional dodecahedron, then you find all the Platonic solids, regular shapes inside the center of the epitadodecahedron. And it means it's not shapes are not sent shapes to of the 3 dimensions, but higher dimensional objects.
Okay, thank you very much. Akio made an interesting comment on chat that children are going into the polyhedra, and he is making such models that he is going inside the polyhedra. Marcin
Oh, I just wanted to
No,
say
it's not. It was not that, Dennis. It was not that. Maybe Akio can tell us.
Akio,
Akio.
but he left. He left.
He was
This-
sending the link to Peter Pierce's great sculpture in Hakone, Japan.
Okay.
There is
Oh,
there is a
Akio is
sculpture
here.
for children
Sorry,
to play
Akio.
from Pierce.
So Marcin and Akio would like to make a
I
statement.
just
Akio,
wanted to say, Akio.
I wrote that.
so you wrote a statement. Yes, this was my feeling, Vera, that it was just a chat note. Marcin, please.
Well, I wanted to say that in mathematics, standard terminology is regular polyhedra. Platonic polyhedra are used very often in textbooks, for instance, because the authors believe that this way they will bring together mathematics with some humanistic tradition, because Plato is typically associated more with humanism than with science. But of course, this is like an error. Yeah, so this doesn't make sense. But it is common belief. But I think that it is important to promote this. Please do not confuse kids or young people by using inappropriate terminology. It doesn't help. It doesn't bring kids to Plato's thought, and it will just confuse them. But mathematics, basically, in mathematical literature, it will be regular polyhedra. So
Regular polyhedra and semi-regular polyhedra. So instead of Archimedean solids,
Convex.
so instead of Platonic and Archimedean, we use regular and semi-regular. I speak with the Hungarian School of Discrete Geometry. Okay, Miro Brada, after his lecture, there were some questions, and he shared with us, Miro shared with us 2 sites where the chess problems can be checked, and also another economic related educational process. Miro, do you have any additional statements about your note?
Nothing. I just this is this chess problem. It's possible. You see also solution there, and I don't know how people are familiar here with that. But if you are interested in mathematics and such things, it can be interesting because it is a fascinating field. And then the interview is about these alternative activities which I mentioned of William Baumol, who was this president of American Econometrics Society. And these about alternative activities. He developed this concept about that if you don't have opportunity with socioeconomic return, you go to alternative activities. There was mentioned negative things like litigation or some frauds and so on, but you can go even to chess composition if you don't have access to computer, such things. It was actually my case. So therefore I was dealing with this topic as a student, as a PhD student of economics. So this
Okay,
is
thank you very much. Thank you very much. We had an important aspect here, the education. So Dmitry is here with us and Ferenc is here with us. Are you here? Ferenc and Dmitry, are you here? Because they emphasize the aspect of education, and indeed symmetry
Yes, I am
programs
here.
can be used. So Ferenc, what do you think? How to teach symmetry and how you can include in your project? There were a lot of debate, and I know that because you are an educator and you had 2 lectures during this time today, therefore you could not follow all of the lectures, but I kindly ask you to say something about your idea how to educate people in interdisciplinary context. And the same question to Dmitry.
Okay, Dmitry, please.
Yes, please. Ferenc, please.
Okay. Thank you. I think the teaching of the methods of productive learning is very important in the level of university and secondary and primary school. And we try to introduce our program in the Hungarian schools, but we would like to expand this program in the world and international level, and we would like to publish my results and researching in English in the future.
It is very important, I think. Dmitry, the same question to you. So the same question. So how to use your method into education? Как надо в школах показать фотографии? Вероятно, это можно употреблять. Существуют такие школы, где они употребляют твои модели. I ask in Russian very briefly that are there schools where his animation and his models are used, because it is very important for educators. Dmitry, please.
Any school, but I want to introduce my method in school, but it's problem that scientists don't see the problem. I show it the tables on the big sciences in conference, but they look my tables, but don't see. It's secret of psych. I don't know why.
But are there experimental schools in Russia, in Moscow, for example? Because of course it is very complicated to introduce something in the general curriculum. But in case of an experimental school or a school specialized in chemistry, for example, maybe it would be useful. And I can imagine that your animation can be used in other contexts. So I'm just asking, for example, Patricia, that am I correct, Patricia, that this type of representation with polyhedral structure is very interesting for SEMO, the Society of Morphology in Argentina?
Yes, it is interesting, and we are always looking for different ways to introduce this mathematical spatial issues in education. It is how you can handle this and be able to use them in everyday objects, in everyday comprehension.
So thank you very much. And last but not least, I would like to turn to 2 persons, to Ted Goranzon. Some people were missing, so please, in a few sentences, please summarize again the main point of your suggestion for ethnomathematics for the future.
Yeah, so I was using ethnomathematics basically as a study of the human side. We have a very ambitious research project here that deals with symmetries, but it deals with very abstract objects, extremely abstract. And these things don't map to the kinds of user interface or notational conventions that we normally use for in computer science. So the question is, if we're going to have these intelligence machines that think in a way that's not very intuitive, how are we going to be able to interact with them and visualize what they see? So the notion is that we're probably constrained by conventions of computers and keyboards and the printed notation we use for mathematics. Is there something that we can recover from the study of pre-literate societies that presumably go back a couple million years, to envision what the kind of visualizations we would use if we had user interface devices that have not yet been invented?
Yes, yes, thank you very much. Marcin and Eugene, I don't know what is the order. Marcin or Eugene was the first. Marcin, please go ahead.
No, Eugene was first.
Okay, Eugene.
Yes, thank you. I raised my hand when you asked about this education. Just very shortly, would like to show you my experience. I announced and start to teach this semester. In Israel, the semester is started this year, it's in the middle of October, an interdisciplinary course, which is called Bridges Between Science and Arts, case of symmetry, polyhedra, and fullerenes. It's open for any department in the university from bachelor level, but the question is that it should be based on some department. And my first idea was, I asked to do it from the Department of Art. We have a pretty good Department of Art, very nice people. And to make an experiment, I made a seminar for professors of this department. And after this seminar, I decided not to do it. Because when I came to Euler's theorem, which for me, it's very simple to explain and to use it for, why it could not be, why you must to have in Fullerene structure 12 pentagons and many hexagons. They didn't get it. So now I decided that it will be done based on a Department of Material Science, Materials Engineering. And now I don't know how many students from humanities will come. So maybe next conference, I can show you my example. It's pretty difficult when you really do want to do interdisciplinary course. It's difficult because the students from science, mathematics, and engineering, they really care about their career. And the students from humanities, they are afraid to come. Even in syllabus, I wrote, you don't need to know mathematics. What you need to know, I will explain in the course. But I don't know if they come or not. So this was my...
Thank you very much, Eugene. It would be very interesting to have a report about that one at the next Congress. Instantly, I am puzzled and I am absolutely excited by the title, because I opened the very first Symmetry Congress with the same title, only different order, Bridges, Art and Science, or a bridge between art and science. It was long before the so-called Bridges conferences were started. And just I would like to mention that I gave a similar course in the mid-1980s at Arizona State University, and the method was the following one, that even students of arts could have credit. So therefore, it is very important. It was not a course which can be taken if you wish, but there were credit points for both in Faculty of Arts, Faculty of Architecture, Faculty of Science, and so on. This is very difficult to organize because the deans could be against. But anyway.
No. University promotes it with a pleasure. Even rector. But very shortly, I use your paper. When I wrote my syllabus, I used that paper when you formulate this idea of bridges.
Oh, thank you very much. Marcin, please.
Well, I just wanted to share with you my experience from maybe about 20 years ago. I taught a course about symmetry in high school. This was in my city here in Japan. High school, which is famous for arts and music, but where they always had some kind of problems to attract students to study math or science. So I offered a course which was mainly, not only, but mainly about symmetry. and it was very successful. Students actually engage in this, but I had to use a lot of like examples which could be like easier to understand. So for instance, a lot about spirals, about for instance, we start from a spiral on the plane, and then we have these two ways how spiral can be. So there are this enantiomers, but if we add third dimension, then I showed them screws which are left side, right side, and it was important to include some kind of hand-on experience when they were manipulating something. And then students were very happy. So it is probably necessary to find key how to attract students. For them, actually, this high school is famous from teaching English. And I was teaching in English, so students were happy because they were learning English in English, like a class based on English language. But then they started to be attracted and they were very happy about the content. So there are possibilities, but I know that to overcome resistance from faculty is not so bad, but from administration is very difficult. There is always some kind of concern. Okay, you want to do something really strange, so it is dangerous for, like they say it, it is dangerous for university. So this is probably important to promote that if administrators can hear in conferences about education, this is the way to go, this is important, then they will start to believe that it's not just that their faculty got crazy, but that there is something behind it, because they cannot understand what you are talking about. For instance, when you are talking about symmetry. So I believe this is the way to go, and we just have to try. And at some point, I think it will work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I turn to Michael Burt. Michael, I have seen also Tamara is with you. So thank you very much, Tamara. Tamara always gave a great help to you. So Tamara, please come, we would like to see you. And which is very important, Tamara, hello, hello. Usually they came together to our congresses, so thank you very much. So Tamara and Michael Burt are together, and Ted is also here, Ted. So Ted and Tamara, you should be linked because Tamara makes a great help to make the computer work. As you have seen, Michael makes hand drawing, which is very important in our field. And Ted promised that in case of ethnomathematical project, we also will consider these wonderful networks which you provided. So special thanks to you, Michael, and special thanks to your co-authors and also students and Tamara the Great. So thank you very much for all of you. Any comment?